Hey y'all, what's poppin', what's good, and welcome to another episode of No Cookie Cutter Christian Podcast. Today I have my friend Malele. So, first of all, me and Malaysia used to do a podcast called Beauty Pearls.
Yes.
When we first got on our journey with God, and it's so funny because this for me feels like a full circle moment
Yes.
where we get to do it again. Okay, so because Malaysia, I wanted to say she's one of my closest friends, but she is my closest friend. To be very for real, okay?
Don't get me started so early. Like,
She is. I felt like it was only right. She came for my birthday, which was yesterday, and we are having a time. So I told
yes, we
her
are.
she got to sit down on the couch. We got to talk. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So today's episode is called "What About Your Friends?" Um, and I think as we get older, that friendship becomes more consequential. It becomes a little bit more heavy.
Right.
Whereas when you were in high school or something like that, like
Mm-hmm.
anybody just that was around became friends with you, or you pick people for like reasons like, oh, they lit, I have fun with them, whatever the case is.
Right.
Now,
Super intentional.
super intentional, super
Mm-hmm.
strategic, super
Right.
value based, the whole nine. So we're gonna talk about some things having to do with friendship. So just let's jump right in.
Mm-hmm.
The first question is, have you ever been friends with someone who does not like you?
That's such a funny question because I don't think not too many people come out and say, "Hey, I don't like you, and I'm gonna treat you a certain type of way." You know what I'm saying? But I've experienced people that didn't like me, and it showed beneath the surface. Like they would be nice, they would be kind, be actually your friend, but do like underlying things, and that happens to me a lot, like a lot, a lot. So no, nobody ever like, oh, I don't like you. I definitely had two people that, were I did consider friends that had to cut me off for whatever personal reason. And I always feel like that's okay. You gotta do what you gotta do. Um, but other than that, like no. And even in those situations, we didn't have a conversation, like it wasn't anything. So I don't know exactly what it was. But I know myself, so I can be accountable, But other than that, no, like nobody ever blatantly like, hey Malaysia, I don't like you or whatever. But
I feel like you're right. It's not blatant, but it is one of those things where it's those little snide remarks
right.
or those just little things that you sit back and you be like, and I personally had a friendship breakup recently, and it was a little bit sad because I did not even think that this person was not going to be in my life for the long haul. Just because I felt like a lot of values lined up. She was a cool girl and everything. But we just got to the point where I started to question, does this girl even like me? And I remember when we had our
Mhm.
little exit conversation, exit interview type situation. I told her straight up, like, I find myself questioning if you like me. And I think for me, that is a huge red flag in friendship. I always
Mhm.
want somebody around who, number one, not only has my back, but who loves me.
Right.
Like I think when you first start to meet people, you go from just being cool, then y'all get closer and closer, and whatever the case is, until that love and that bond is formed. But for me, it's just like the little snide remarks, the
Right.
little like,
The thing is, like in situations like that, it's super beneath the surface, and it takes discernment. It takes the Holy Spirit, especially if you're a Christian and you're surrendered to God. Like the
100%.
Lord is gonna show you things quickly. He doesn't want to hinder anything he got going on for you.
Hmm.
So it's really, especially for me, like the inconvenience in you and like not really caring about what you got to say. If you bring up something, it's like, okay, forget that. I'm going to
Hmm.
talk about this. You know what I'm saying? Like things like that where I can tell like who I am or my life or whatever, something about it you don't like. So it's like, but on the surface, I can't really talk about it because it's just, it's gonna be weird, like because it's hidden under so many layers. Yeah, it's hidden under so many layers.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, I feel like God will definitely reveal like if people don't like you, because nobody's really gonna like, hey, I don't like you. So
No, facts. And I think that discernment is huge. And no matter what relationship that you're in,
mm,
like you need discernment. There was one thing in life that really changed the way that I look about friendships forever. Okay. The death of Shanquella. Remember that girl? She was in Mexico and she had a friend that beat her up while she was drunk. She was naked. There was other friends in the room that um did not do anything. Like they just watched her get beat up naked or whatever the case is, and she ended up dying. And everybody else came home from Mexico fine, and she was left there like How crazy is that? I
That's
think,
wild.
listen, that changed my mind about friendships forever because what I understood in that moment is like sometimes we give people the benefit of the doubt and we're always like, oh, it's not that serious. Like, oh,
Right.
they might have said something slick, but whatever, it's fine. It's not that deep, or whatever the case is. That's what you think.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, these people hate your guts.
Right.
And I'm just like, I am to the point where if you don't like me, please get out of my way. So all of that little snide remarks or whatever the case is, if we have to be in each other's face or around each other, I get you away from me immediately.
Right.
Because what's not gonna happen is like you just leave me for dead in a situation because you really don't like me. And I think too the bigger thing in that is that your light attracts people at the end of the
Right.
day. So they
Mhm.
see it and they like it and they want it next to them.
Mhm.
But when it shines, it makes them uncomfortable. If
Right.
they're insecure or whatever the case is, like it's gonna be a problem.
Right. Like they fake like they like it, but don't want you to be that way, or don't want you to have it. Or, like I don't know.
But
It's
that's
just
what drew you to the person in the first place. But
exactly.
half the time it's just like you can't stand over here because you're not mature enough or you're not confident in yourself enough. And even me and Malaysia went out yesterday for my birthday and I was telling her I feel like, and this is no shade, but I feel like pretty girls need to be friends with pretty girls.
Yeah.
And pretty girls who understand that they're pretty, not pretty girls who are very insecure and all of that
Mhm.
stuff, because I do believe that if you don't believe that you're attractive and you're next to somebody who's attractive and they're getting compliments and people are like, oh my gosh, you're beautiful or whatever the case is, if you don't know who you are, you're going to have a problem
Right.
and it's going to build up some kind of resentment.
Right. At least some level of confidence. Like,
Yeah,
because I think attraction varies based on the person or whatever, based
100%.
on people.
Mhm.
But at least, some level of confidence where you know who you are, you know whose you are, you know what you're doing in life, you have a goal, you have a plan, you don't need to be up under people. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you have that, then I feel like when you're around other people like that,
Yeah.
it's not going to be a hard thing to do. Like,
No
you
facts.
could be just normal.
Normal, period. Because
Mhm.
don't be weird. Act normal.
Right.
So, what are some red flags in friendship that you've seen?
One of my biggest red flags is talking about your friends.
Yes, ma'am.
That for me, I know people are gonna talk about you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a part of life,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But for me, I prefer not to be talked about,
Mm-hmm.
and because of that, I don't talk about my friends.
Mm-hmm.
If like it's to the point where anybody in my life can't tell you nothing about you
On period.
from me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They have to know you personally or somebody else or whatever.
Yeah.
So I want the same thing. And here's why. Because once you understand the spirit world, and then once you even get and like once you have dealt with people who are a part of like do witchcraft and stuff like that, like when you're exposed to that, you're gonna want to protect yourself as best as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we can't protect ourselves from everything, but you control the controllables, and then everything else you give to the Lord.
Right.
So for me, like with my friends, I do that because that's what I want. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
nobody, even if like we have a problem, whatever. If you're gonna like talk about me, go to somebody that is going to give you advice or somebody that is filled with the Holy Spirit that is not going to look at me funny if I have to see them. Like if I have to come to you about a person, I know when you see them, you're still gonna smile, you're still gonna hug them, you're still
Mm-hmm.
gonna like interact with them, and vice
Period.
versa. Like
Mm-hmm.
so that's one of the biggest red flags for me.
Well, wait. For that one, I feel like I love exactly what you said because I hate like if you come around me talking about your friends, you're never gonna know none of my business. Okay, let's
Right.
start there. And I feel
Yes.
like there's a way. So I always tell Malaysia, like, if somebody makes me upset, I will tell other people the way that they made me upset. And when I say other people, I mean Malaysia and I mean my family.
Right.
Okay. You might know why somebody made me upset, but you're not gonna know their business.
Hmm.
There are people that I'm not friends with to this day, and I'm still a vault about their business because why would anybody need to know?
Right.
It just, you know what I mean? And I think for me, one of the reasons why I don't like spreading my friends' businesses is because if I tell somebody and that person starts looking at you weird, I'm gonna be mad at you because that's still my friend and I still love that person.
Hmm.
So like I feel like if I tell you something and you looking at my friend weird, like, okay, but I told you that, but why are you looking at her weird? And it's just
Right.
too much. So I'm just like, you know what? I don't feel like I don't feel like everybody can handle it well. And so I rather just not like
Right.
because I don't want nobody looking at my friend weird anyways. Because I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
gonna feel some type of way. Because me and my friend is gonna make up, and then you're gonna be
Exactly.
like, no, no,
Right.
thank you.
Like immediately, right. Like when somebody comes and start talking about like their friend's business or just what they did that they think is stupid, like any opinions or anything like that, I
Yeah,
know you
no.
one can't probably be my friend. I can't tell you anything about my life, you know?
Mhm.
So yeah. Even in that within that same topic, one thing that I am surrendering to the Lord and just being transparent. Um if like if you piss me off and we not you're nobody to me, then I might like go to my husband and
Mhm.
like, really explain everything, not your business or anything like that. But I definitely might like, okay, this person X, Y, and Z. But that's, for me, I want to not do that. Like I want to still really just take things to the Lord. Like, and it's hard. We're human, and then
Yeah.
we want an event and all that other stuff. And I don't think venting is like bad. Like I said, as long as you go
Mhm.
to somebody that you know is going to handle it righteously and
Mhm.
show no partiality and stuff like that in the matter.
Mhm.
So, yeah, just to be transparent.
I feel like I'm trying to build my life up in a sense where I handle people well. Meaning like I feel
Mm-hmm.
like let's say I was to be friends with somebody in church and I felt like, they did something in a church setting that was out of order that I might need to take the leadership or like it's detrimental to whatever y'all got going on. I feel like I have to handle it through the right channels because where I am in life right now, I just feel like I want God to be able to trust me on all fronts. And I think the biggest trust that God can give people is trusting them with other people,
Right.
And so I'm really trying to be very intentional about how I handle people in this season because I'm just like at the end of the day, I'm sure I did something that probably somebody could expose me for some way,
Mm-hmm.
somehow. But I do feel like I'm to the point right now, like, okay, how do I handle this tactfully? How do I make sure that that other person is not like,
Right.
not really hurt by it? But there's also a little caveat because I feel like I met somebody who is a scammer. She's a scammer. And I feel like because like if I don't know you, and if I never considered you a friend, but we were getting to know each other and we're cool, and you do something,
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna call Malaysia
Mm-hmm.
like, girl,
Right.
because who is this
Exactly.
girl? First of all, like I don't
Right.
know you for real, and if
Mm-hmm.
you just get like, if you just do something wild, yeah.
Yeah.
But there is still like people's business. Like I don't know when it comes to like if somebody tells me something in confidence, like they were molested or something like deep or
Right.
whatever the case is, there's no reason to bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
But other stuff about you, yeah, I'm gonna tell Malaysia.
Like things you personally experienced with the
Yeah,
person,
like my
right? Like,
experience, yeah.
right.
And then I'm gonna tell my sisters. Sorry.
Another red flag is also like one big for me is inconveniencing me. I have a kid,
Ooh,
and now I have a husband.
right.
So you have to respect that,
Mhm.
And I feel like I've been in situations where I'm telling you what I'm gonna do and what I'm not gonna do, and it's like, yeah, bump that. I need you to do this, or this is how the person's gonna act when they come around.
Crazy.
Like it's crazy. And again, I've dealt with it. Like I've seen it multiple times, and I'm in a space now where, like you said, you want to respond carefully, you want to handle the situation properly. So, and I understand that every bridge doesn't need to be burned either, especially if we're not nothing yet. Like, what am I really sending you a paragraph for,
Yeah,
calling you
yeah.
for? So it's really like, Holy Spirit, what do you want me to do now? Like you saw what this person is doing. It happened multiple times. I'm not just talking about one inconvenience. I'm saying like, no, you're inconveniencing me throughout the entirety of our relationship,
Mhm.
and it's a thing. So like, Holy Spirit, what you want me to do? Like, should this person be cut off or keep it super surface level?
Mhm.
Because sometimes God has you in situations and it's not for you, and we make it into something else,
Yeah.
and He might be using you in that person's life in a certain way that He showed you who that person is, and you have to reel it back and see why He even wanted you there in the first place.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's a super big red flag for me.
For me, yo, consideration is my biggest value. It is
Mm-hmm.
my biggest value. I feel like in any level of relationship, like consider how what you do affects me. Consider the things I have going on in life. And I feel like when you're friends with somebody, you know some of the things that they have going on. So there are certain things that you just like if it's 3 o'clock and I need somebody to pick up something, I'm not gonna ask Malaysia because I know this is the time that she goes to pick up her son kind of vibe. You get what I'm saying? Like I just feel like put two and two together. Like don't be just trying to monopolize my life or having to be all about you. Like
Right.
I cannot deal. But I low key feel like people do that with you because you come off as so sweet, so
Yeah.
kind, so
Mhm.
quiet, or whatever the case is. And she's all of those things. However, I don't feel like people understand that there's a stern part about you that
Yeah.
just like,
It's
you
very
know,
quiet and stern. Like I will just
yeah,
like separate myself, and you'll never hear from me again.
yeah. And me and Malaysia has spoken about like learning how to be friends with people, not be friends, but learning how to be cordial. And so for instance, I use this example, right? Like how Jesus had his disciples, but then he had the three that he would take up to the mountain and then he would go off by himself or whatever the case is. So I think in Luke it was talking about how Jesus had like 70 disciples that he sent out two by two, and then he had the 12 disciples, and then he
Mhm.
had the the three that he would really take in his inner circle and he would show them vulnerable parts of himself, like when he was crying out to God and it was tears of blood and all the things. I feel like that's how friendship should be.
Right.
Like everybody should not have access to your inner circle, your inner thoughts, your inner vulnerabilities. I think there's a select few that should, and then there's other outer people that you might go hang out with. There might be a good
Right.
time when you go out to brunch, or you can just kiki and laugh and whatever the case is. Like, you know how sometimes you're just going through something and you got that one
Mhm.
crazy friend, like, oh my gosh, I know going out with her right now
Right.
would
Gonna have
just
a
pick
good
my spirits
time.
up. We will, whatever. And I could be there for them in different ways, but they're still not going to get to see my vulnerabilities.
Mhm.
I feel like that's what we were talking about just like learning how to, like, where to put people.
Right. And one thing Kima had mentioned to me like maybe a month ago, I was just expressing to her how I really have a hard time making friends. And I it's either you're my friend or you're nobody. And my friends are my family. So and she was explaining to me like, we have to find a middle ground. And that's pretty much what I feel you're saying right now. Like
Yeah.
everybody doesn't have to have close proximity to your life or your
Hmm.
business, your family, whatever. But it's okay to find people just to do fun things with or
Hmm.
whatever. But then even that fun for everybody is different.
A
Feel me?
hundred
Some
percent.
people can't have fun without being intoxicated or
100%.
high and stuff like that. And especially if you're struggling with something like that or you want to come out of something like that, then those friends, even though they're fun, you can't hang out with them.
Hmm.
And then going back to the consideration thing you were saying, it's like, yeah, if you know your friends might be struggling with something, expressing to you, hey, I want to stop doing this or I want to start doing that or whatever, consider that. Don't you know
Hmm.
that they're vulnerable towards that thing.
Yeah. Why would you put them in that
Don't
situation?
put them in the situation,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
Like say, hey, no, let's go do this.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If you're telling me I want to quit this or whatever, all
Hmm.
right, cool. Once I see you reaching for it, put that down. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. But I think that for people, a lot of the times they're not disciplined in their own lives, so they can't be that disciplined or whatever when it comes to other people. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? And I really think that when the devil cannot get you, he will get people around you to
mhm.
try and get you. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I feel like people who are really close to me, they have a good walk with the Holy Spirit. Like
Right.
if you and the Holy Spirit are not tight, me and you are not going to be tight
Mhm.
because I feel like you are a liability and you can use these vulnerabilities against me because you're just not going to consider how it's going to affect me and you're not going to care. Truth be told, like I think
Right.
a lot of people, because it's just fun to them and they might feel like you're acting like holier than thou or just like it's that serious, quote unquote. You know how everybody like to say, oh, it's just not that serious. We're just,
Right.
I can't.
Right.
So I feel like the people that I do go out with, like I watch, if if there's any environment that I'm in that I feel like I'm struggling with something in particular, the people that I go out with, I make it a mental note, like, okay, even if I'm struggling with this type of sin, we are not going to struggle together. It's
Right.
my struggle. I'm going to deal with that on
Mhm.
my own. I'm not going to be like, oh, let's say I struggle with drinking. I'm not gonna be like, oh, let's shot when we outside. Like,
Right.
no, because I feel like that's gonna make you believe that this is a thing, this is our friendship, this is what we're building on. Let's go, let's drink, let's da da da.
Mhm.
We're not gonna build on that because I think that that's how a lot of people trauma bond. Like
Right.
you drink, I drink, oh, like
Mhm.
let's go trauma bond on that. Or even if somebody has been through like different things and they just want to tell their business and bond in the fact of like, oh, we have been through these kind of experiences together. I don't want to bond on those things. I'm sorry.
Right.
It's cool to like when people express themselves to you for you to know, like, okay, we've had some of the same experiences, but at the same time, no.
Right. And that's why it's important to take your time with people too
Yes.
before giving them a label.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, especially me, will end up in a situation like that
Mhm.
and then have to reel it all the way back because they think that
Facts.
that's the type of timing that I'm on. And it's like, no,
Mhm.
you know? So, like, definitely, I feel like we have to slow down and get to know people, talk to people more. And a lot of times they give
Facts.
themselves away
Yeah.
quickly,
Yeah.
you know? So,
But
yeah.
you do need those hangout experiences because then you get to see people in different lights and different things that they do and see how they move around.
Mhm.
And then you get to decide, I don't like that. I
Right.
don't really, I don't really get down
And
like
it's
that.
not even to sound like you got to be some perfect person to be a friend, no,
Yeah.
but when you house the Holy Spirit within you, you're always in a repentant state
Yeah.
regardless of what you're doing, and that's what matters. That's accountability. You
Hmm.
acknowledge what you're doing, so it's not like, oh, once we see you like this, we're not hanging out with you no
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, no, you can struggle with your struggle, but we're gonna know how you are by how you talk. We're gonna
Hmm.
know how you are by what you do, by your habits, like, because we're gonna get to know you. So we're gonna see what you do, day
Hmm.
to day, or whenever we talk. Like, hey, what you doing? Oh, I'm reading my Bible or whatever.
Hmm.
Like, if you're never saying those things, or you're never talking about God, or because when we talk, I mean, we don't always talk about God 24/7, but it always circles back to God.
Always.
Always.
Hmm.
So yeah, just give people more time.
Yeah. I think that I feel like the way how people act just shows me where I need to place you. That's how I look at it. Like, and I don't feel bad about it at all. And I think everybody should have a
Everybody should do that.
system. You understand? Where when I'm getting to know you, I'm trying to see where in my life do you belong. Do you belong on the okay, you out of courts, like you have access to me in the sense of like you can call me, be cool, we can hang out every now and then. You can come in a little bit more, where you can come into my house, or can you come in my bedroom? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, can you actually be that close to me? Because I do think like now I look at friendship like based on values. Like, is this person honest? Does this person have integrity? Does this person love the Lord?
Right.
If I am going through it and I'm in a situation where I might need somebody to bring me a casserole because I've done went through something traumatic, are you who is living in the next town over gonna be able to do that? Like adult friendships, I feel like that's what I'm looking for.
Right. It's character based. Like, a
Yes,
lot of time, like you said, we trauma bond or we bond over other things. Like, no, we should actually be bonding off of character.
a hundred
Like, who
percent.
are you? Are you
Right.
beneficial or are you dangerous to my life? Can I
Mhm.
trust you? Or, like,
Mhm.
that's really how we should form friendship. But again, we kind of form it off of relating to others
Yeah.
and then make it into more just off of that relation. And then once one of the people change,
Mhm.
that's when
You
it
really
starts
get
to
to
get
see.
weird. Yeah. Yeah.
No facts. So, with that said, how do you resolve conflicts? I remember there was one part in our friendship where there was something that Malaysia did, and I spoke to her, and I was telling her that yesterday that the reason why we're such close friends now is because I really feel like when I told her how I felt about something, that she apologized, she took accountability, and she started moving differently. She started understanding, like, okay, this is what made her feel some type of way, and she actually took heed to it. And I feel like that for me is big because if I tell somebody something that hurt my feelings or that, just bothered me and they just continue living their life and like, okay, like that's the easiest way to get rid of me.
Yeah.
The easiest. Like you want to get rid of me, like just act like you don't care about what I'm saying. And so
Mhm.
I feel like conflict resolution is huge because as adults you have a life, you have things going on, everybody got things going on.
Right.
And I do feel like when you house the Holy Spirit you should always be like continuously forgiving, but I think that how you handle me throughout everything is going to show me where I need to put you in my life. And I feel like how
Right.
Malaysia handled me was just like, okay, come closer, girl.
I love that. And again, like, that's why I love you. Like, you're real,
Aw,
and
period.
then you're transparent. And when I remember when I first started going to the church and I met you, I'm just like, I never met somebody so real in the church.
Mhm.
And that's why, like, when we became friends, I'm like, yeah, because you was authentic and you
Period.
still love the Lord. It wasn't like an authentic, I'm gonna just be myself and da da da. Like, no, you was
Yeah.
authentic and still love the Lord and still understood the things that you need to
Aw.
change or whatever. But back to your question.
Mhm.
Back to your question. As far as conflict in this season right now, everything I'll sit there and give it to the Lord. Literally talk to God, like have a conversation. Lord, this is what happened. This person did X, Y, and Z. You knew this person was gonna do X, Y, and Z. You let them do it. You showed it to me. What to do.
Bye.
And I will sit there and wait. I think for me, marriage is what helped me with that because I like to get things, just address it if it's obvious. If it's an obvious situation, address it immediately. But everybody's not like that. A lot of
Yeah.
people internalize things. A lot of people need time. I'm somebody that needs to process,
Yeah.
you know.
Same.
So now it's like, okay, I sit there, Lord, lay out the whole story, what to do. And
Hmm.
then usually, if you leave it alone and let it play out,
It
the
does.
person either removes themselves or fix the situation. Something you do need to address, especially if it's your husband or your sister or your mom, dad,
Hmm.
somebody like that. Yeah, talk about it. But other than that, like, Lord, you saw what
Hmm.
happened. Tell me what to do. For me to say anything? No. Okay, cool. I'll just be regular, and we'll see what happens.
I love that because I feel like sometimes we don't consider how other people take information, how other
Mm-hmm.
people take correction, or just letting other people know that you hurt their feelings. And I think that when you pause and you give it to God, you're able to literally take your time to hear from Him and how you should approach it. And I remember that I had a friend who she was upset that I didn't want to talk about everything immediately. I cannot do that. One, because I feel like if I say how I feel in the moment that I feel it, it's not going to come out right. I promise you it's not because I'm already offended. So I feel like I have to take my offense to God first and then allow God to deal with my heart so that I'm not, firing off because sometimes too, sometimes offense can it triggered something that was already like kind of dormant in me. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're going to get the brunt of something which doesn't even have everything to do with you. Like sometimes people make you feel how somebody else made you feel. And now instead of just having that one person, now you're bringing on all the baggage from the prior situation. So I feel like I need a minute. I need to be able to get my heart right. And I need to be able for
Hmm.
God to give me the right words to be able to say it. Because I think when I finally had a conversation with that person, I was very proud of myself in the way how I was able to speak because at this point God had already checked my heart. I had already came to the conclusion that Kimmy, you actually love this person. However, this person cannot fit in your life because it just doesn't work. You guys want different things out of friendships. You guys have a different way of understanding communication, and it just doesn't work, and that's okay. And so I was able to have the right words instead of, well, you did this and you did that. The conversation was more like, yo, I love you, but I don't like this that you do. And because you're saying that this is who you are and it's not something that you're willing to change, I do think that we need to part ways.
Hmm.
And
That's
it
so
was literally,
mature. Like,
listen, it was the most mature friendship breakup that I've ever had. And kid you not, to this day, I still love this girl. And this girl was, with me when I was going through some things. And it sucks that you even have to go through things like that with people, but it's life. But
that's
I feel
life.
like I just always, if she looked back, I always want her to feel like I handled her with care. You know what I mean? And I feel like that for me is very important in this season. For me, let me tell you something. I can walk away from somebody and
Hmm.
burn the whole city behind me. Prior to this moment, prior to who I am now,
Hmm.
it was just like I don't care. Okay, like I'm gonna tell you how I feel. You can tell me how you feel, and if I feel like your answer is not what I need it to be, or you're not repentant, or like
Hmm.
whatever enough, I'm just like burn the whole thing. Bye. We don't have to talk.
Right.
But I've learned like there's a way to handle people, and I'm just like I got tired of looking back and everything is on fire. So you don't burn this bridge with this person, this like why?
Right.
You cannot
Right.
be friends with somebody and not have it be all of that because at the end of the day, I would look back and be like, I still love these people, but they wouldn't know that. You know what I mean? So now I'm
Hmm.
just like, let's put down the matches, let's relax,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
let's really just have real conversations with people because I think
Right.
that once you take your hurt out of it, the
Hmm.
conversation can just be so pure. And
Right.
although somebody else, like in that situation, that person still had their hurt and they still brought that to the surface and still came off a certain way. I'm not matching energies with you at this point because I already gave it to God. Me and him already worked it out. So it's
That's
just
so
like,
mature. Like,
girl,
that
the
is
Lord
so
has done.
mature.
I'm 36 now. I feel like I gotta be at this point. It's
Yeah.
just like, what are we doing? I'm
Right.
not in high school no more. I'm not in my 20s. So now I thank God that He's brought me to this point where when I say I love people, that has different facets to it. Like I don't want to hurt your feelings, and I don't want to.
Hmm.
Okay, well you hurt me, so I'm gonna hurt you. I want to poke at you. I don't want to do all that.
Right. Right.
Let's
Right.
just get to the point.
And honestly, I like with people close to me, I was like that friend that you're talking about. Like, let's talk about it now. Like, what are we waiting for? Like,
Hmm.
it's a clear. I want to hurry up and understand why you did what you did and whatever. But again, counseling helped me. Like, no,
Hmm.
people really internalize things
Yeah.
differently. and you have to sit back and wait. And even when it comes time, because I was the type of person where I picked the worst times to talk about things. Like as soon as I wake up in the morning and I feel or think whatever,
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
and that's not okay.
Mhm.
So definitely, like, I think as you go through life, or even through counseling and you or therapy, whatever, and you telling them about these things, they'll tell you the same thing. Like,
Mhm.
you gotta kind of take your time with people, and you never know who God might allow to circle back in your life too. And at the end of the day, I feel like he could use anybody to bless you.
Facts.
So you have to be
Facts.
careful about how you relate to others, and
Mhm.
how you leave others and stuff like that.
And as much as I have burnt bridges and everything like that, and okay, so two things. The first thing is that as much as I've burned bridges, there's this one friend that for some reason I tried so hard for me and this girl to be cool. Because I remember meeting this girl when I was very young, and I felt like the way that my first interaction with this girl was so shady. Like she came at me shady and I gave it right back. I must have been like 13 years old and I was just ready to go. I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, listen, you got the wrong one. And so that was our first interaction. But when I met her and I figured that she was cool, over the years, like me and this girl just always had a problem. There was just always something that she was bringing to me. And I was just like, Kima, what did you do wrong now? Like, I don't know. But I remember just having like three different separate sit downs with her as an adult. And that was me trying to kind of fix it, you know? And so I felt like with her in particular, I tried really hard. Um, but part of me just realized that if somebody's gonna feel away, they're gonna feel away,
Mhm.
and
Right.
you're gonna have to be okay with that.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I think the other thing that you were saying is just like how you used to want to address things. I actually like when people want to address things, but I think wisdom taught me like growing older, like you have to take a minute because if you
Mhm.
like when you're upset about something, because it could be if it's something simple like girl what you said this and that rubbed me the wrong way, that's one thing. But if it's something that keeps on happening and now there's offense on top of it and whatever, like I don't want to talk to my friend in that moment because I don't want to hurt my friend's feelings. I
Right.
feel like it's gonna come off wrong. And I think that I remember one particular instance where I just like when I had lost my house and things like that to a fire, I did not have the capacity to deal with certain situations that my friends wanted to address with me. And I think that people did not understand like why is it taking so long to have a conversation? Why is it taking so long to just like address a situation? It's because I'm fighting for my life.
Right.
Okay? I'm fighting for my life. So and I think that I hope that this episode makes people really just be considerate about their
Mm.
friends' feelings, right? So for me, I had lost everything, and not literally I had the clothes on my back, so figuring out, okay, where are we gonna live, what are we gonna do, and just like trying to rebuild life. Even a year later I was just in a space of everything kind of fell apart and I don't know what to do and I don't know what the next step is. And I'm going through all of these things and somebody's like, oh well, we need to talk about this friendship issue. I don't have it for you
Oh.
right now because I got to figure out where am I getting clothes to put on my back. Like
Right.
I don't think that people really understand certain things like that. Like a lot of the times when you're not there for people, all they can see is that you're not there for them.
Right.
But in this season, I need you to be here for me. And that's why I think reciprocity is so important with just like when you have the capacity in life, like be there for people. That way, when you don't have it, they understand because they know your character as being somebody that shows up.
Mhm.
And so when you're not able to, like, let it be. But also, you cannot expect a friend to be 100% like always
Right.
being there for you, and whatever you got going on. Sometimes people are gonna need to take a break. And
Right.
in a friendship, when you love people, that has to be okay.
Mhm. And that just goes back to like the popular things people say, like, "Oh, if you don't call me for a while, I'm not calling people who don't call
That's
me,"
crazy.
and stuff like that. And it's like, no, people really be fighting for their lives. Me and Justice, like, yo, that was a whole 2 year of praying and fasting.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't care about nothing else right now. Like, I'm
Yeah.
trying to save my child. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So at the end of it, I had no capacity.
Hmm.
And it's only by the grace of God I was able to go to sleep at night, have peace and all of that. But it's like I just don't have it right now. You
And you
know?
have to be able to give people grace for those moments in their life. Like, and but that goes back to the point of like, this is part of the reason why I feel like people need to have like different levels of friends and different friends.
Right.
Because I feel like if somebody was pulling on you to be there for them in that time and you were all they had, that would be a problem. You get what I'm
That's
saying?
also a red flag. If they want to be all up
Every
under
step
you
of the
all the
way.
time,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I feel like if you know you're that person, you need to diversify your friendships where you're able to have like different circles or different people that you call, where you don't put this burden on one person to fulfill everything.
Mhm.
And I also feel like I'm understanding at this stage in life that you have to make yourself happy. Whatever that looks like for you, you
Mhm.
have to make yourself happy, and then everybody else is like icing on the cake. So that you're not walking around this life like this person has to be here or they have to like everything I do they have to show up or whatever the case is. Like that's not real life as an adult.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like it's just very important to like fill yourself up that way that you of course you need people but that you don't die if they're not there in this one moment.
Right. And that's even understanding reciprocity because some
Yeah.
people feel like everything they do for you, you have to do it back in return immediately when they need it. And that's not reciprocity. You
Yeah.
know, that's just I'm doing something for you because I know I'm gonna need something from you later.
That's
And
crazy.
that's crazy. And that's a lot. No, it's normal though. It
To some
shouldn't be
people.
normal. It shouldn't be
Hmm.
normal, but it happens a lot with people. So yeah, like when
I do
you're
not like that at
I
all.
know, like
That makes me
literally,
cringe.
literally. If it a gift and a favor
Yeah.
is to be let go of after you do it.
Yeah.
Period.
Hmm.
You aren't to expect anything in return
Hmm.
because at the end of the day, you're going to be disappointed.
Hmm.
Because whatever you want in return at the time you want it, that person might not have it. They might be in a season where they're really trying to reach their goals or they don't have it.
Yeah.
And you have to be okay with that if you're their friend. And when they come back around, I'm pretty sure for example, like I told you, you've done so much for me in my life. I'm gonna make that trip for your birthday because now I can do it.
Yeah.
But at the time, like last year, I couldn't have done it, or like any other time or whatever. But now I can. So let's go all out. But
Hmm.
this is like a year change 2 years later, and you're cool with that, and that's
Oh,
friendship.
period.
So
And that's what I think. Like, and I'm just a person in general. Like, if I can do something to make anybody's day, or I know that something will really put a smile on this person's face, and it's their birthday or whatever they have going on, like, I want to be able to do it. And I feel like I don't know the way that my dad was with me growing up. I've just learned to be content, and I've just learned to give and not expect anything in return. So when I give, I literally don't expect anything in return. I think reciprocity for me is just like if I feel like you making millions of dollars somewhere and you don't show up for nothing, you don't send a gift, you don't do nothing, I feel like that's when I feel some type of way.
mhm.
But I really look at people like I'm okay with doing what I can for somebody and letting it be that because I really feel like I love the people that's in my life and I feel like they're already tried. Like everybody has been tried and true. Like
Mhm.
everybody has been tried by a certain process. I've been around everybody in my life who's here for years now, and I already know their character. So it's not even a thought to me at this point. I
Right.
think when you're first building friendship, you're trying to see what's going on. But I feel like by the time I know somebody's character and I know how they are, it's not even a thought. I'm not
Exactly.
even checking for it.
Right.
But I feel like if you're like, oh well, I give this for your birthday, and the gift that you gave me was like $30, but the gift that I gave you was like 200. I'm gonna tell you to kick rocks and open toe sandals.
Yo,
That's
like
what I'm
listen,
gonna
don't give me
say.
nothing else. Don't give me
Never
nothing
in your
else.
life.
Yeah, like I'm good.
So, when do you decide a friendship is over?
Um, so I'm not one that had a lot of friendship breakups.
Mm,
Um, but the ones that I did have, they talked about me, and they
mm,
talked about me to somebody that they shouldn't have been talking to me about.
mm,
Wait, they shouldn't have been talking to about me,
mm,
and they were the person that was talking about me or the people or whatever are people who I hold dear to my heart, who's been there all my
mm,
life
mm,
and know that we can talk about anything.
mm,
And so that for me is when like once I know you're talking about me and you're doing it like it's a
mm,
thing, and then you're doing it to the wrong people who, going back to what I said before, who are witches and stuff like that.
mm.
And you know who I am, you know how I was
Yeah.
raised, you know I'm in Christ and all of that.
Mm.
You gotta go
Because
because
at this point,
that's
you don't even care.
exactly, you
Yeah.
don't care and you're actually trying to damage my life.
Hmm.
And with the child, with the husband, like no.
That's scary.
So yeah, and even outside of that, like I said before, I'm in a season where just give it to the Lord and let things play
Mhm.
out unless He tells me specifically
Mhm.
what to do. I did have to. I did actually. The person wasn't a friend, but I had to stop. Because it was too much, and it was one of those things where, again, a lot of things was happening. Gave it to the Lord, sat down, Lord, X, Y, and Z is happening, but I wasn't sure if I was supposed to
Mm.
cut the person off. The next day, they did something else, sent that text message, boom, boom, boom. That was it. You
That
know,
is
so
wild. But I think that is a good reason. Like, don't be having my business out there,
right,
especially to people that could probably try to put my picture somewhere. Not that we
right.
cover about the blood over
No,
here, but still.
exactly, exactly.
Um, I think for me, when a friendship has to end is when I feel like it begins to get toxic. When it's just like we can't have a conversation, or nobody's willing to change. When we're at an impasse of, okay, this is how this made me feel, and the person's like, oh well, this is who I am. Okay,
Yeah, that's
that's
it.
fine.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
think even like getting to know values, I feel like had I slowed down in a lot of friendships, there would be less friendship breakups. Because I feel like growing up, it was always like, I'm such a social butterfly. I meet people like, they're like, oh, yes, let's go hang out. Okay, cool. We go hang out. But I've learned like some people has been able to latch onto me and I let it happen. And other people, I'm just like, yeah, no, this not going to work. And I just kind of kept my distance. But for the ones that have been able to get close to me, it's just like, I personally feel like sometimes people will show you their representatives to get close to you and all of the things. And then when you start seeing how they are in real life,
Hmm.
they're like, this is not the person that I saw, because you cannot, if I saw this before, we would never be this close.
Right.
And I've experienced that in relationships with men as well as in friendships where people will put forth their representative. Like, why do that?
Right.
Like, you're gonna act like how you are. You're gonna be who you are. Why even bother?
At some point, right? It's gonna
Like,
come out. Like, what's the
and
point?
then if you're doing it because you feel like it's gonna make me walk away from you, when I finally do see it, I'm still gonna walk away. So what are we
Right.
doing? So I think that for me, when I realize like just values don't align, when I feel like things are getting toxic,
Mhm.
I just feel like I'm in a place in life where I just don't have time.
Right.
And I would love to have time, but I feel like when you're building, the devil uses these type of distractions to just like wear you out. And I feel like if I'm constantly addressing an issue with you, then I'm not doing what God called me to do.
We too old. We don't
Literally,
have time for that.
like, don't.
Like, we at this point, we know what we're supposed to be doing and we're working
Yes,
towards that. So whoever we're gonna bring in has to get with the program and have to be intentional. And this
has
is
to.
this is why we said before, like, you got to slow down. Like, you
Yeah,
when it comes to meeting people and hanging out with people or whatever, I think you have to hang out to kind of like know
yeah.
people, but
But slow down with people having such access to
access.
your life.
Hmm.
It's okay, like, oh, you go out now, you go out next week, or whatever the case is. Oh, you guys talk. I even feel like limit the talking. Like,
Hmm.
don't do too much talking on the phone, because I feel like then people get used to a certain system. They get used to
Hmm.
like, oh, I can call this person and they're gonna answer, or we talk on the phone for an hour every this and the third. Like, they get too comfortable with that, and then when it's time for you to see how the person is, and then you have to back away,
Hmm.
then they can't understand the shift. You get what I'm saying? So
Right.
I feel like I don't even want anybody depending on me that much in a friendship unless you are in my circle. If
Right.
you're not in my inner circle, I cannot give you that kind of energy. And I was just telling Malaysia, there's a reason why I don't have a bunch of inner circle friends, because I cannot be a great friend to everybody.
Right.
So the people that are in here in my tightness circle, I can I make it a point to try and be a great friend to them. But I cannot be a great friend to everybody. So that's why the circle gotta stay what it is.
Right. And even back to like slowing down, that's also setting boundaries. Like,
Yeah.
because when you set those boundaries early, then they can eat that the person could choose whether or not
Hmm.
you're for them or not.
Yeah.
And at least they'll see, so that when those times come when they call you and you don't answer, it's not like a, why didn't I
Yeah.
answer on the phone? Oh,
They're
you answer
not
the
hurt.
phone, da
Yeah,
da
yeah,
da.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
No, I love that slowing down part. Um, have you ever experienced gatekeeping in friendships?
I don't think so. I don't think for the most part throughout my life,
Mm-hmm.
my friends who I call friends have always been supportive
Mm-hmm.
with whatever I'm doing, whatever I need, showing up. like even with fashion, my
Mhm.
friends were always fashionable, and that's where I kind of got my fashion sense from.
Mhm.
If they got a pair of shoes, they'll tell me where they got it from. Like
Mhm.
it was, I don't think I've really experienced that too much, like gatekeeping.
I feel like I've experienced it way too much. And I'm at the point in life where my very close friends, I don't want to keep anything from them. I feel like there's a spot, a time and place in your building of whatever you're building that you're going to have to keep it to yourself, that you're just going to have to build in silence. And I understand that. But I do think that if you see somebody who is going after the same kinds of things or whatever the
Mhm.
case is, that you will want to put them on. And I think not only just putting them on in that way, I think that I want my friends to be able to grow with me. I'm going to
Right.
continuously grow. And if there is a pastor that I listen to, if there is a person who does like with like financial money management that I'm listening to, that I feel like I'm learning a lot from, and I'm just like, okay, well, I'm not going to share this with my friend because of whatever your reasoning is. I'm gonna look at you sideways
Yeah.
because I personally feel like I want my friends to be able to go to different levels with me. I don't want to be the only one like moving up, and my friends are just not, or they're doing their own thing, I'm doing my own thing, and we have resources that can help each other, but we never tell each other. Like that's
Yeah,
very
that's
rare to me,
weird.
and I feel like I am so big on like support. I feel like if you know something that could help me and you don't share it, and I find out later, I'm gonna feel some type of way.
Right. And that's also going back to getting friends that are confident that match who you are, that
Yeah.
and also house the Holy Spirit, because those
Hmm.
things wouldn't even be
It wouldn't
a
even be a
thing,
thing. Yeah.
because you understand that your assignment is your assignment, your assignment is your assignment. And as long as you seek the Lord and obey, your
Hmm.
assignment will always be your assignment, and nobody can
Facts.
take that from you.
Hmm.
So yeah, like I that's weird to really
A
keep
hundred
things.
percent. I think if I read a book, if I listen to a sermon, if I find somebody new to listen to or whatever the case is, I'm always putting Malaysia on.
We've
I'm
always
always
done
putting my
that. Yeah.
from the gate in our friendship
Yeah.
we have. And for me, I'm just feeling like as I got older, I realized the intentionality behind it for me is not just that I want to share with my friend, but it's because I'm growing even in God and different things, and I want my friend to be growing with me because I think sometimes that's how friendships fizzle out is
Hmm.
that one person is growing at a pace and the other person is just behind. It's just like, okay, well, now we're not on the same page. Well, duh,
Right.
like you didn't put them on to, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
And this is my final question, and this is my favorite question of the whole thing. So, the question is, why is it important for you to maintain our friendship um, since you've been married? And I ask this because I believe that sometimes, and a lot of times in Christianity, women have friends as placeholders until they get married. Because I know I was taught that when you get married, you should not have no single friends. So when Malaysia got married, I braced myself. I was just like, okay, the friendship is gonna change. Like of course, let me give her a minute because she's just getting married, you know. And I was just like, okay, let me take a step back. Like I stopped reaching out so much, or whatever the case is. And she would call me like, "Girl, what are you talking about?" And I finally told her, like, "Girl, I feel like, I didn't know how our friendship was gonna change." She's like, "No, what? I need to stay close to my friends." And I was like, "Okay." But why did you find that important?
Okay, there's so many layers to that. First of all, very cliche, but real recognize real.
Hmm.
And when I find real people, I cling to them, because I know that I was raised in a real family. I
Hmm.
have real parents,
Yeah.
and I've seen them maintain friendships from when they were just throughout life. They're not
Hmm.
the type to, so that was my example. So
Hmm.
once we got cool at church, and we got cool really cool. We can even recall like how it just kind of happened.
I
And
remember seeing you in the circle that day, and I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna be friends." I just feel like the Holy Spirit told me that, and I didn't press the issue or whatever the case
mhm.
is. We just became friends, like
Right, my son was about 6 months, maybe. That's
crazy.
crazy.
That's
Yeah, but no, you're very real to me, and I I gravitate towards that,
Mhm.
and I think that people need that. I think we live in such a sensitive time where people don't want that around, because nobody wants to hear the truth about
Yeah.
themselves and stuff like that. And honestly, Kima, like you're just a best friend, like. And I mean, when you think of the word friend in its totality, like, yeah. Like you're really that for me. And
Same Z's.
right, and I like, why get rid of that? And at the end of the day,
Yeah.
just because I'm married, like, I think married people should have their own,
A
not a
hundred
separate
percent.
life, but I mean
Yeah.
like something outside of their husband,
Yeah.
and that's was something that was big to me too. So I'm like, no, I'm gonna maintain this friendship because I really love you, and I have a hard time making friends, and the fact that you love the Lord, you're honest about where you are in your journey, you're on, and you've always shared things with me,
Yeah.
things that I would never expect. Like it helped me to share
Yeah.
things with you because I'm like, most people keep things to themselves. Nobody want to really know. Nobody really wants people to know what they really going through on their journey with Christ. People hide that, and you never hid that for me.
Yeah.
And it helped me to get closer to God.
Mhm.
Like you don't have to be perfect or perform for God to love you.
Facts.
And you given me, you never gatekeep. Like you put me onto so much that helped me to learn how to read my Bible because I was raised in church, but I didn't really know on my own like what to do. And when we became friends, that like took off my relationship with God and all the resources, just everything. Like I don't need just everything. Like I don't know. We just locked
That is
in and that's
so
it.
interesting
Like
because I do think that God gives us like covenant friends. Like I really do believe that. And I do believe that you are one of mine. I don't know who the others is, if ever I do have any others, but I do feel like you are one of mine. And I was always just thinking like marriage changes people. And because I had that advice from a long time ago as a child, I think I was like 16 or 17 when I heard like, yeah, you don't want nobody's, don't be friends with them single girls because it's this kind of stigma that they're either going to want your man or they don't have your best interest at heart or whatever the case is. And what I've realized is that sometimes people get older in their marriage or whatever the case is, the men never get rid of their friends and you're here friendless. You know what I mean? And but I did brace myself because I was just like, I don't know how it's gonna go. And so many things were happening while you were getting to know your husband that we never got a chance to like really address that from the beginning. But I was just like, okay, let me just give her a moment. And I was kind of feeling like, okay, maybe this might be the end of an era, but let's see. And I thank God that it wasn't because
no, when you said that, like I felt it in my chest. Like what? Like why would you even? But I get it too, and that's
yeah.
why too. Now I said I wanted to show up more because I'm not a friend that's present. I'm a real friend, but I'm not that present, and I know that about myself. So I was like, now, especially that I can, I'm gonna show up, and I want to show my face, and I want to be present, I want to be there, or whatever. Whereas before, it's like I'm the friend you can call me and you can trust me, and I'm a vault. I'm not gonna tell you none of your business. If you need advice, I got you, and whatever. If you want me to just listen, I'm there. If you in need or what, like anything like that. But as far as showing up, I wasn't that friend, and I always watched my friends hang out with everybody else more than me. And I might have felt the way, but I also understood myself and knew that I wasn't the friend that showed up that much. So I never like made it a thing with any
like
of my
held it
friends
against
because all
them.
my friends have like groups of friends that they hang out with way more than me. But I'm also very like I am introverted. I do like my alone time. I don't. I need doses of things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with all of that, and then the fact that we're still very different, but we're still friends, like that's confidence. That's housing the Holy Spirit. That's because you should be able to be friends with different types of people,
100%.
and girl, we locked in. I really, when you said that, I was like, no, she didn't.
That is so funny. And we are so different. Like I'm very outgoing, you're very introverted.
Yeah,
and
I'm
I
not
feel
outgoing.
like but I feel like when things align for you and when things are natural for you, you talk to people, you're like, you can be a social butterfly, but it just
Right.
has to be like the right setting and it just has to feel normal to you. And that's fine.
Right.
But I honestly like Malaysia is one of the friendships that I really, really value. Um, and I feel like I can't not see us locked in. I'm not gonna hold you. Like I
Right.
really can't
No,
see
for
it.
real.
And I feel like now that I've learned so much about friendships by dealing with other people, like I definitely try and like make sure God is the center of our friendship, but also, just making sure I'm giving grace, making sure that I'm not holding somebody to such a like high standard as far as just like I know that you want to be there, and for me, of course you're here, so you're definitely showing up for me. But I feel like even if she couldn't come, like okay, I'm gonna have to catch you next time. Like, and I wouldn't hold it against her because honestly, yet you haven't even been married a year.
Right.
I feel like I did not expect her to come because girl, you just got married. That's no problem. Like, and I feel like I'm like that a lot in my friendships and in life because I just grew up with like, don't hold nobody to such,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, let people live their lives and it's
Mhm.
okay. And I think that once the love is there, you kind of always find your way back. But I have to say that I'm really grateful. I really am grateful because I feel like I didn't even expect to have this kind of friendship with Malaysia, but the fact that God did what He did and we're
Mhm.
growing like in the same direction and we love the Lord and we're both trying to do better in our lives and just different things, like I'm really grateful. So that's why I
Yes,
had to
me
have
too.
her here. But
Yes.
did you have anything else to add?
No. Mm-mm.
That is the end of our What About Your Friends episode. Drop in the comments what y'all love about y'all friends, y'all friendship breakups, how that went, where y'all are in friendships right now.
Mhm.
I want to know, okay? Thank you for
Right.
watching another episode of No Cookie Cutter Christian Podcast. I love y'all. I'll talk to y'all later.
See you
Bye.
later.